Hello, and welcome to the Team of the Week podcast with me, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Masterson, and Mr. Graham. Monsieur. We obviously in the middle of the cricket season, as you can tell by the sunny weather outside behind us. But we're going to start a little bit with just sort of brushing up on the final few things from the spring term. So there's a little bit of hockey that we're going to talk about. Then we're going to move on to
clarify that when we say we.
Well,
Mr. Anderson.
I think you've grown into the hockey discussion this year.
Definitely.
We're talking about one match.
Just one match though.
I can talk about discipline. I can talk about a certain individual person's discipline, but you can start on that.
And then we're going to move on to the cricket term and what's been going on so far.
And what hasn't.
And what hasn't as well. There's plenty of that because of the weather. But yeah. So just before the Easter holidays, we had the under-16 boys competing at Lee Valley, which is the Olympic Park. It's the home of GB and England hockey. And they're competing in the Tier 1 plate national final. And so it was a really good achievement for the boys to get there.
The Twickenham of stickball.
Yeah, the Twickenham of whackball.
Whackball, sorry.
It was obviously a big achievement for us to get there, but we wanted to go there. And
what were your expectations?
Who were you playing?
Well, we were playing against a team or school from Kent called Sir Joseph Williamson Mathematical School. And my expectations and my hopes were to go there and really compete in the game. And whatever the outcome of the game is, what will be. But go there as prepared as we possibly can. Put full commitment and effort into it, work for each other, and be able to come off the pitch knowing that you've given everything. And I think if you do all that, you give yourself a good chance of getting the intended outcome. But,
well, what I'll do is I'll put some pictures over the top now, so we've got some good shots of the match. So you can have an opportunity here to listen and look at the game. Obviously, we weren't able to watch it live, but there was a sort of live stream, sort of out of radios, teletext style.
Yeah, so
on a website that Mr. Stiff found. So well done to Mr. Stiff.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of live sort of updates, I suppose, like goal scoring and
it looked like a
stuff like that.
Calamitous 10 minutes decided the game. I would from recollection.
Well, so I mean, we haven't actually said the outcome of the game yet, have we? So we did unfortunately lose, but. Yeah, I think it was pretty tough, to be fair. I think all the things I've just said about going prepared and being committed and working hard for each other. I think all of those things were true, and we did do all those things. But ultimately, there are moments in games where things can sort of turn the tide against you, and the momentum can shift, or you can struggle to build a bit of momentum yourself because of things that go on in the game. And there certainly was probably maybe a 10-minute period where, we got a few cards and we were down a few players, and you struggle to then build the momentum. I don't
really see the pain in his voice about his recollecting this.
Yeah. Well, I think
we're in a position where we certainly have recollections that mirror that in terms of.
This is not even a dig either.
Recent finishes towards the final, it does really grate on you, and I think for the conversations I've had with the lads as well, like it has hit them hard. But I think that they've done so well to get to that point in a prestigious tournament, to go out to a specialist hockey school, playing some really high standard stuff across the season. We may not have won on the score, but as I have just found out, we have won on being a longer established school, because Sir Joseph Williamson's mathematics school is only 323 years old, so we beat that. And while they may play in yellow, light blue, navy and black, we know that black and gold is where it's at.
Not having that. Nice try, I'm not having that. So go on, tell us the score, the outcome of the game, how it all unfolded. Yeah, well, not all of it, but the main key points.
Yeah, I suppose we went.
You're beginning to waffle a bit.
Yeah, we went into. We actually started the game really evenly. I think we were dominating the possession. They probably had a couple more chances than we did in the first sort of 20 minutes. But I think we were in control really, and we actually went 1-0 up from a short corner, but the goal was disallowed. And I've watched it back.
Why was it disallowed?
Well, the umpire believed he had seen Alfie take a shot with the back of his stick, which, for those who don't know, is
highly
an
illegal.
Infringement. However, I mean, it was clear to us on the side that hadn't been the case.
Yes.
And the video would suggest that is true. So that was unfortunate, but those things happen, and you can't.
Do you think the video and your own eyesight are enough evidence to realistically try and suggest that what the referee or the umpire saw wasn't what took place?
Yeah,
interesting.
I think so.
Continue.
But it's not to say that
It's not calling to the integrity of the referee.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely, we would never do such a thing.
No, it's not to say that the umpire, did anything necessarily wrong.
And didn't have a good game.
Might just have been, might just not have seen it from the same
vantage point
that we had. So,
yeah.
But that's quite a big moment, because if you go 1-0 up there, it was just before half time. I think you go into the second half with that sort of confidence and that momentum that we're talking about.
How was the team talk?
Well, ultimately, before half time, in the sort of 5 minutes between that disallowed goal and half time, they went and scored a perfectly valid goal. So they got the sort of swing of momentum into half time. Team talk at half time was just to sort of control the controllables, be in control of the things we can do, in terms of how we move the ball, how hard we run, being committed in the tackle, but without giving away sort of cheap fouls, and just going out there and leaving everything on the pitch really. So I think the start of the second half, we then obviously chasing a little bit, and I think things get a little bit more frantic in some ways, and I think we sort of lost a little bit of control, a little bit of emotional control as well. It led to a few cards, but I think that sort of it contributed to us not being able to build on the things that we were trying to do, rather than it being the causative factor in us losing.
Yes,
if
absolutely.
that makes sense. And ultimately we came away from the game having not won it, but I know that myself, Mr. Leask and Dr. Clark, who were the three members of staff who were on the sideline, and then Dr. Brooks came down to support as well. I know that we all came away from it being really proud of the boys, and I think they can all sort of be really proud of what they've done this season, and actually to get through that competition, play against some really good schools, and shown quite a lot of resilience through that cup run. So I think it just is a really good platform to build on for next season, and hopefully can provide a nice. It's role modelling for the other year groups, to show them that this is something that we are capable of doing, and we are capable of doing on, I think, a regular basis, if we sort of stay true to our values and sort of trust the process of it also.
First year in the role of wizard in charge of hockey. Overall summary. How do you think the programme is moving? Are we optimistic looking forwards?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think more boys, I think lower down the end of the school, are playing hockey and having that opportunity to experience it, which is really good. It gives them that chance to experience it and feel whether it's for them. And then sort of near the top end of the school, there's some really talented lads who are really committed to hockey. They really enjoy it, and they'll be around for the next few years. So.
Onwards and upwards.
And I think, like I said, it's been a good season with lots of learning for myself and for the boys, and hopefully it provides that platform for us to sort of bounce forward and keep making those improvements. So yeah, overall very pleased.
Wonderful.
So what you don't know is Mr. Masterson was a guest. Mr. Anderson was a guest on this show, and we used to pay him by words, and we used to give him a limit, and he has exceeded that by about 15 minutes. So now you're only allowed to talk when we refer to your team as the hybrid under 15s and second team. Is that all? No, you're not allowed to talk now.
That's how all the waffle.
There was a lot of waffle there. Emotional waffle. Needs to channel that in a better way, I think.
I agree.
Got him! Got him! You don't get to stupid. Don't you worry.
Can't disagree.
So anyway, we're moving on to the first half term of the summer term. The cricket season has been amongst us, and
Ish.
ish, yes. As again, we look outside in the rain as some boys
Between the early
cover under the DT arc as it is coming down. Quite a pace, shall we say?
Between the early Easter and global warming, cricket is not alive and well.
Look at Bradford and Pocklington as your two polar opposite matches.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had some games in the glorious sunshine. We had our first 2-3 weeks of the season washed out. So at this point, I think we're happy with the amount of cricket that we've managed to play, given the situation. But across the school, I think it's been, given that we're now in the second year of redeveloping Quegs cricket in our image, in what we want it to be, combined with the newly converted Mr. Anderson and Mr. Lawson as the Archbishop in charge of cricket, I think that we're certainly taking strides in the right direction. But in terms of individual players, I think we leave it over to you to start with the under-12s.
Yeah, so you know the drill by now. It's the team of the half term, but team of the term sounds better. Mr. Anderson did like to put a point forward about that, but we will ignore him. So team of the term for the first half term, starting with the under 12s, I've gone for Rohan Vimula and Thomas Ingram. Main reason for that, I think Rohan was very surprised when I picked him as captain. I spoke to you afterwards how he will lead on the pitch, not necessarily through what was an extroverted personality, but he's very much a leads by example on the field, and he's definitely done that.
And a thinker.
And a thinker, yeah.
He's demonstrated that in
and I really, really rated the reaction from the whole squad. They were very happy for him. So that was obviously, that made me feel better. I was like, it wasn't a shock to everyone. It was like, oh yeah, deserved. So that was a good start for him, and he's led well with the bat. He's only got out once in the 4 games he's played, and I had to retire him on Saturday because he was making mincemeat of Woodhouse Grove attack. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but he was. So he's led from the front really well with the bat and with his captaincy, so he deserves all the plaudits for that. And finally, Thomas Ingram. Not many will be surprised by this. Very good with the bat. Scored a lot of runs for us, despite the fact he didn't bat on Saturday against Woody Grove and got quite frustrated with me, but I can understand why. Very keen cricketer, a good addition to the squad, and again, very well deserved, and he's very good with the ball as well. So.
And while those two have been picked out, I think it's really, really important because we've all had a little bit of hands-on experience with the under-12s this season. There is a real range of cricketing experience in that squad. You've got some lads who've been playing for years who are really trying to hone and develop specific aspects of their skill set. And you've got some lads who are well and truly newcomers to the sport, who are picking up as they go along and throwing themselves into everything, turning up to every training session. And even from the winter nets till now, some lads whose bowling action was indescribable as a bowling action now are in a situation where they're actually being able to represent the school, and I think that's really, really pleasing to see as well. I will say to the under-12s in general, your catching and your fielding, as Mr. Graham has pointed out on several occasions,
we'll get there.
Let's get working on it.
Well, the first thing they need to do in terms of if they're going to get better at that is make sure they don't just leave the sheets of paper that describe the positions on the field that you've given them.
Yes, absolutely.
Plenty in the changing rooms.
Right, under 13s. Mr. Anthony, do you want to take this or do you want me to take this?
No, I think you take a lead.
I'll take the 13s. So Seb Springer has been nominated by Mr. Leask. And I don't think that's particularly surprising. He has been a consistent deliverer for that side thus far this year. Consistent runs with the bat, I think, have really aided what we know to be a really strong up-and-coming side within Quegs. Very, very strong year group, obviously with a couple of lads in that side having already represented the school first team this year at this point. So there's a real depth of calibre there. But Seb has certainly helped embody that, and with the absence of Orav obviously playing up in the first team on a consistent basis, I think it was always going to be interesting to see where the runs were going to come from in his absence on that kind of week-to-week basis. And I think he certainly stepped up and delivered that. And then Thomas Wood also. Have a quick word on Woody?
Finish on Seb. I think last year you could see the potential, it just never quite came out. So it's good to see that it's flourishing now. There's a couple of big scores, 250s. I think the last one was a 60 odd. So yeah, it's good to see from Seb because he's all round bowling, fielding, batting. Little Woody, I'm sure you won't mind us calling him Little Woody. Brought in last minute in the first team game. I think it's worthwhile to say last night.
Committed to the cause.
Yeah, he's always up for a game of cricket. So well done for doing that as a starting point. And just, I would expect, led with the ball. That's what he does, top of the order with the ball, and just sets the tone for every innings. A good fielder, loud, and just everything you'd want. Again, when you're thinking about people who are moving up, he's certainly someone we're going to keep an eye on.
Yeah, in the last few games the 13s have played, they've had a couple of strong outfits they've been up against, and particularly in the Woody Grove game, where obviously I've got a little bit of an affiliation. What? There are some quality batsmen in that side, a couple of very, very strong Yorkshire players who play alongside Thomas in that setup, and I think it's been really, really noticeable that his lead off in those fielding and bowling innings has really helped to limit the impact that some of those players have been able to have against us. So yeah, really, really pleasing, and yeah, keep it up, Thomas.
I think just one thing I'd like to add on Little Woody is that he's really tried to engage the whole team to be an important part of the team. Everyone's found a way to be really valuable to his to the team, and Woody's sort of really pushed that and made sure that as a leader on the pitch, he's sort of making sure that that's been happening. So that's quite mature, I think, really for a year 8 as well.
Absolutely, and it won't be the last word that we discuss, but we'll park that for now as we move over to the under-14s, which is nominations from Mr. Stiff, Chris Darrow, and Sam Ilsley.
Not surprising, really. They're both leaders in that side. Sam's probably struggled a bit this year with the bat. I know you saw him on Saturday, but he puts everything into the cause. Good leg spinner. I think he's a good captain, and he's a good games player. He understands, not say it to my year 7s, not a lot of them watch cricket and absorb the sport, and you can tell he does, the way he thinks, the way he leads, the way he bats, the way he bowls. I'm not surprised to see Sam in there. Krish is I don't know how to describe Krish, because he won't mind me saying he looks awkward when he bats.
Unorthodox.
Yeah, unorthodox,
I would
but
use.
Effective.
Yeah.
He scores a lot of runs in that last cup game. Opened the batting with Orav, knocked off 120 odd, non-down. That's some feat, and it's
on his way to being considered a cricketing man of fame. I think there's real.
We need to stop with these trying to drop these lines in. I'm going to call it out every time. It's not happening.
What I will say is to just jump back to Sam quickly, from a coaching / umpiring perspective, when you're lower down in terms of the age groups, it's quite common to see the coaches and the umpires actively carry out both roles on the pitch at the same time. It's not just about managing the game, it's about trying to use it as a learning opportunity for the boys as well, and giving them ideas and prompting them in the right direction, particularly field settings. And Sam, to his credit, was the first time in a long time that I've been able to be involved in a younger aged game where, instead of needing to kind of provide those answers and give directions, I was able to actually kind of pose questions to Sam. What areas have we been bowling in? Why are we utilising this field? How long are we planning on keeping this field? How long are we planning on keeping these bowlers on? Why is that the case? And he's able to actually justify his perspectives and rationalise the decisions that he's making in game. And to be able to do that as a young captain, I think, is really, really important. What I will also say is in that Woody Grove game, where the 14s bowled and fielded generally pretty well, and had a bit of a torrid time with the bat, as we know they're a stronger bowling side than a batting side. He was instrumental in trying to maintain standards amongst the lads and keeping them on task, focused on what they needed to do, unifying them as a team a little bit in difficult circumstances, which I think is really, really pleasing to see. And then, quickly on Krish, as you said, very unorthodox stance with the bat. You can see his hockey influencing his cricket, but in the same way, that's not a negative.
You see his cricket influencing his hockey as well, and the hockey season. Sort of like a mix.
Yeah, a hybrid sportsman.
Yeah.
but yeah, very wristy, very good off his legs, sweeps the ball beautifully. He's got enough physicality behind him, and his hand-eye coordination is sufficiently good that he strikes a good ball. And I think that's something in quite a small side that really aids them, having someone who can kind of build that pressure quite quickly. So well done to you two. Really, really pleased. As we now move on,
Mr. Anderson, take us through with the 15s and the /2s.
Yeah, well, I mean, the 15s as an age group is really strong. We've got quite a few of them that are sort of playing up in that first team, aren't we? So, but there's plenty of those 15s who are still really strong. So it's a really good age group with lots of good sort of cricket experience and sort of knowledge and understanding and skill level. But it is sort of a hybrid second team as well. We've had a few sort of year 11s, year 12s feature, but it's been a really good mix of lads to create a team really. In terms of the team of the term nominations, it's a tale of two Olivers. So we'll start with Mr. Eldridge. He's been really influential, I think, in terms of how he's bowled. His left arm comes over the wicket, quite a lot of pace on it, and he lands it in good areas. And he's made batters sort of have to second guess what's been going on. So he's taken quite a few wickets with that. But then on top of that, when he's sort of setting his field, like you were just talking there, like he's sort of taken the lead on that. I have not done any of that with them.
Which you certainly could have done.
Well, with my extensive cricketing experience, but no, he's taken the mantle for that, and he's really clear and direct with everyone about where they should be and why. And I think on top of that as well, you start to get to those older ages, and sort of the chat on the ground sort of starts happening. And
bit of banter,
and he sort of takes a little bit of a lead on that, which I think is good.
Adds to the atmosphere of the side and the game.
Yeah, and it's. I imagine it's probably the start. It's that sort of age is where it starts to happen a bit more and becomes a little bit more.
Shifts away from sending the Bales to Wales.
Yeah, it becomes a little bit more nuanced, I think, doesn't it?
Bespoke.
Yeah, he's done really well in terms of that. And then the other nomination is Hooper.
When he's cracking boundaries, he cannot be beat.
Especially when he's rocking the black.
No, not allowed.
Okay, but when he swings...
No context being given to the audience, but no, stop. Give us a quick summary of hoops.
Well...
Stop waffling. Hooper.
Well, in our game against Woody Grove, the most recent game...
Stop waffling.
His bowling's quick. Sometimes a little bit erratic. He sort of releases it a little bit late sometimes. He did a full toss at the
release point.
Yeah, high release point. And a full toss is obviously a no ball straight at the batter's face, but the batter creamed it back at him. He just jumped one hand and caught it, obviously not out because of the no ball, but it was quite an impressive moment. Got a little clap from the opposition umpire.
Footage of this?
No, I was too busy looking at from square legs, so I'm not getting my phone out during a game.
Just meant was there any camp like Sky Sports or VO?
No,
anything like that?
They were.
Wasn't meaning you.
No, they were doing the first team game. I think Sky Sports. So that was his bowling. But then he came in. I think he was 7 or 8. And he came in. We were chasing 139. And sort of halfway through the innings, we were looking like we weren't really going to catch that.
Yeah.
But then, they got all the way to the 30th over, and he pulled it back basically to needing 4 runs to win.
Well, I was going to say it was last ball, last over stuff, wasn't it? It was really
and in those last few overs, he hit a few sixes, quite a few boundaries, and he was partnering Ed, who's year 9 as well, and he was doing really well to sort of manage that partnership and making sure, because he was the one who was going to get the runs in that situation really, and he was able to sort of recognise that and get himself facing as often as possible. And yeah, unfortunately, didn't quite get it over the line. But it was sort of an exceptional performance. Really, he did really well, so.
Especially at the home of Yorkshire Cricket as well. I think that was really pleasing.
No, we were playing Woody Grove, mate.
Yeah.
First team.
I don't think it was ever really going to be in doubt that these two were going to be the lads selected for this side. Josh Wood, first of all, our second Wood brother. In fact, we nominate the entire Wood family because they're all always there.
Yeah. Supportive.
Absolutely, hugely so. And Josh, as first team captain this year, has led by example with the ball, has certainly tried to bring on some of the younger lads in terms of encouraging them to be more vocal, to back themselves, to be a little bit more forceful in the way that they're executing some of the skills in the field. Really pleasing to see. He's taken plenty of wickets. He's really imposed himself on the opposition. And he's also, in recent weeks, started for the first time since I've seen him play, because he's always had potential with the bat. And you look at the size of him, you know he's got some serious power to offer. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the game away at Bradford Grammar, where he made his first 50 that I've seen him making God knows how long, launched one of their spinners onto the roof of the pavilion, then launched the same spinner into the houses on the other side of the road. I think that's given him some real confidence. And yesterday, when the first team were unfortunately knocked out of the National Cup by a strong Scarborough College side, when he did come in and really just took it to the opposition. I think they were very quick and perceptive in realising that they needed to shift their field around quickly and change up some of their bowling, because he was picking them apart. So well done, Josh, on a really impressive season thus far. Keep that up. And then second, Charlie Newton.
Very different frame.
Very different frame.
Very different skills.
Very difficult to umpire without coming across as biased, unfortunately.
Your integrity is never questioned, don't you worry, sir.
Well, nor should it be, because Charlie Newton is...
Or Mr. Lawson, for that matter.
Mr. LBW. With his action...
There's something about left arm off spinners opening the bowling that causes English and people batting in English conditions to struggle.
Low bouncing pitches, opening batsmen who are used to seeing off the new ball, feeling comfortable, just letting it go through to the keeper on a pretty consistent basis, only playing when forced to. Charlie will not give you that opportunity. You are going to have to play at every single ball. And the second that you start to play back and across, you're in serious trouble. And Charlie is the leading first team wicket taker this year, continuing on from a very successful season last year as well. As a year 11, I think he's an absolute stalwart of that side. And while he's certainly batting a little bit lower down the order this year than he was last year, that's not necessarily a reflection on the quality of his batting. I think it's far more a reflection on just how much we want him to continue to focus on his bowling, because he has been such a consistent threat this year. I'm really looking forward to seeing these lads take it international in the summer, as they head off into the Commonwealth and demonstrate that cricket truly still is England's. As we had a kind of slight BNP note onto the end of the podcast here.
It's not the end of the podcast. We've got Mind Match to do.
Marvellous.
So we'll move on to that now.
Mind Match.
Would have been the kids. They're off on assessment week. They're busy, running around, blowing off steam. So here we are. Let's do it. We'll be fine. We know everything.
I will be fine. We know everything.
What is Mr. Masterson's favourite colour?
Green. Come on.
What is Mr. Anderson's favourite vegetable?
Carrots.
Cucumber. Reasons.
What would Mr. Masterson's superpower be?
Invisibility.
I just know you better than you know me.
Absolutely. Everyone should know me.
When is Mr. Anderson's wedding?
27th of July.
and I will be there. Come on.
When's yours? 9th.
We won't be there.
When is Mr. Masterson's wedding?
9th of July.
It's the 12th of July, but I just heard you say it.
I'm not giving you the point for that.
Wow.
I thought the wedding
Not
started
true.
on the 9th. There's a
We're
3-day.
still in Malta there.
Yeah, that's where the wedding starts.
Marriage is a lifelong commitment.
What is Mr. Anderson's favourite meal?
Chicken
Rogan
Rogan
Josh. Loves a curry.
I've just realised I've given an incorrect answer for my own question. My favourite food is pizza, followed by donuts.
What is Mr. Anderson's favourite film?
Harry
Cricket
Potter.
Man.
Famous Harry Potter. Oh, look, Potter. Training for the ballet, Potter. You'll never catch me, Potter. Saint Potter.
It's not even Harry Potter. I'm saying all these just incorrect
Funnily enough,
answers.
when I said film, the first that came to mind that was Harry Potter. I was like, nah.
It's just we
it's
talk about it all the
something else. And I was
time.
like, Jaws?
Yeah.
Jaws is my
Actually,
favourite film.
Gladiator.
I love Jaws. I prefer the Meg.
Who is the best member of staff in the PE department?
Christopher
Me.
Lawson.
You're not in the PE staff.
Don't matter.
Who is the better sportsman?
Out of who? So,
Me. Me.
Me.
Me. 1,000% me.
I think it's me. You're just quick.
Challenge incoming.
You're just quick.
I'm incredibly talented at everything.
The most humble.
The best at being the most humble.
If Mr. Anderson won the lottery, what is the first thing he'd buy?
A house.
Mr. Masterson won the lottery, what would be the first thing he'd buy?
A car.
Mind match.